Today, we come to the story of Hercules, the greatest hero of Greece in mythology. In Greek mythology, Hercules is a hero of extraordinary strength and muscular build, skilled in martial arts and archery, and wielding a large, long staff. However, he is the type of hero who is all brawn and no brains, or, if one does not wish to be too harsh, simply dim-witted with only his physical abilities developed. This is demonstrated by the fact that when it comes to martial arts and combat, Hercules is exceptionally skilled. But when it comes to intellectual subjects, he is remarkably weak. Hercules once, due to his ignorance, was harshly scolded by his music teacher. In response, he became so enraged that he grabbed the lyre and beat the teacher to death. When brought to trial, however, he was protected by Greek law, which roughly stated that if you killed someone after being insulted, it was considered acceptable. Later on, many times throughout his life, Hercules was either mentally manipulated or became so angry that he lost his mind entirely, causing many serious and tragic consequences. Hercules has 3 names. His birth name was Alcides. After he was born, Zeus brought the infant Alcides up to Mount Olympus to secretly drink the milk of Hera while she was sleeping, so that the child would become immortal. However, while drinking, Hera suddenly woke up and flung Hercules away. As a result, the milk from Hera's breast spilled out into the universe, creating a river of milk, also known as the Milky Way, which is the very galaxy we are living in now. After the incident of having her milk stolen, Hera was absolutely furious. Therefore, Zeus had to appease his wife by changing the boy's name from Alcides to Heracles, meaning the glory of Hera. When translated into Latin, it becomes Hercules. The son of a king becomes a king. The son of a servant in a temple sweeps leaves. But the son of the highest god in the universe lives a life of extreme suffering. For Hercules, the circumstances of his life were not simply difficult. From the family tree and origins of Hercules, everything was extremely complicated. Hercules is the product of a prophecy and an illicit relationship. His father, Zeus, according to lineage, is actually the great-grandfather of his mother. The story begins after the War of the Titans, when Zeus heard a prophecy that there would be an earth-shattering battle that would take place in the future. Zeus would fail and be sent down to the prison of Tartarus, unless he received help from a demigod who was the son of Zeus. Moreover, this hero had to be a descendant of the legendary hero Perseus, who had destroyed the snake-haired demon Medusa. Perseus was also the son of Zeus. The son of Perseus eventually gave birth to the mother of Hercules. That means Zeus is the great-grandfather of Hercules' mother. After hearing the prophecy, the king of the Greek gods immediately descended to the mortal world, with his target being Alcmene, the daughter of King Electryon, who was the son of Perseus. King Electryon had 10 children, but 8 of them were killed in a territorial dispute with the descendants of Poseidon. Not only that, he was also robbed of his entire cattle herd. Having lost so many children, King Electryon was understandably bitter. However, bitterness alone would not bring his children back. Therefore, Electryon offered his daughter's hand in marriage to anyone who could retrieve his stolen cattle. This news reached the ears of Amphitryon, a well-rounded young man who was also the son of a king, skilled in martial arts, healthy, and remarkably fortunate in all his endeavors. Amphitryon, having long been infatuated with Alcmene, immediately traveled to Mycenae to accept the mission, and he succeeded. He herded King Electryon's cattle back home. The old king was so delighted to see his cows return that he ran out eagerly to greet them. But suddenly, one cow charged straight at him. With a staff in hand, Amphitryon used all his strength to hurl it at the charging cow. Unfortunately, the staff struck the cow and then bounced directly onto the king. And so, farewell, grandfather. This tragic incident caused Amphitryon, who had been an honorable hero, to immediately fall to the bottom of society due to the crime of killing a king. He was forced to flee to preserve his life. Before running away, he still managed to invite Alcmene, the daughter of the man he had just accidentally killed, to escape with him. Being a dutiful daughter, Alcmene agreed immediately, but with one condition, that Amphitryon must avenge her 8 dead brothers. And so, the 2 of them traveled together to the city of Thebes, where Amphitryon gathered an army and went to war, seeking justice for his wife. Meanwhile, while he was far away fighting in the north and campaigning in the east, she stayed at home, unknowingly waiting for Zeus. After transforming many times into rain, into a bull, into a swan, this time Zeus decided to approach his victim in a different form. Zeus ordered the sun god Helios not to rise as usual. Then he transformed himself into Amphitryon, snuck into the bedchamber of Alcmene, and made love to her continuously for 3 days and 3 nights. When the real Amphitryon returned home and discovered that he had just been cuckolded, he immediately set up a funeral pyre to burn Alcmene alive to vent his anger. However, every time the fire was lit, Zeus would summon rain to extinguish it. Eventually, Amphitryon had to accept the reality of a powerless husband and resigned himself to marrying Alcmene as his wife. Just a few days later, Alcmene became pregnant. Initially, Hercules was predetermined by Zeus to become a king. However, Hera, out of jealousy, sabotaged this divine plan, and the title of king was given to another person instead. On the day of delivery, Alcmene gave birth to twin boys. Hera was so irritated by this that she sent 2 venomous snakes down to strangle them to death. However, Hera is the goddess of family, not the goddess of wisdom. The 2 serpents were no match against the extraordinary power of the son of Zeus. The infant Hercules simply grabbed both snakes and strangled them with his bare hands. Just kidding, but that is exactly what happened. Recognizing his son's incredible potential, Amphitryon actively invested in the education of Hercules. Hercules proved to be extremely talented in physical abilities. From archery to sword fighting, from chariot racing to martial arts, he excelled at everything except cultural subjects, in which he performed poorly. After the incident where Hercules beat his music teacher to death, Amphitryon took Hercules to a remote, desolate area to herd sheep so he could live in peace away from society. Every day, Hercules still diligently practiced his martial arts. He even fashioned a club from the largest and heaviest olive tree in the entire region. 10 strong men together could not even lift it. At that time, somewhere in the region, there was an extremely large and ferocious lion that devoured the sheep belonging to the people and the king in mere seconds. Hercules, although only 18 years old at the time, willingly carried his massive club and went to hunt down this wild beast. After 50 days of relentless pursuit, Hercules finally succeeded in causing the molecular bonds of the lion's skull to completely disintegrate. He brought the carcass to present it to King Thespius of Thespiae. The king said, "You have suffered the most from this lion. I am very pleased that you have helped me eliminate such a great threat to my people. As a reward, I will marry my daughter to you." But Hercules replied, "Sir, you have 50 daughters."
That is correct.
The king answered, "That is correct." For each day Hercules had spent pursuing the lion, he was married to one wife. Upon hearing this news, all of the friends of Hercules immediately cut off their relationships with him, because no one wants to be friends with someone who invites them to a wedding 50 times. After this remarkable feat, Hercules also accomplished another heroic deed for the people. The story goes that the citizens of the city of Thebes, due to one occasion of driving a horse carriage recklessly, had run over and killed the king of the land of Orchomenus. To avoid having an army brought over to demand justice, the city of Thebes had to pay a tribute of 2,000 cows to the son of the deceased king of the land of Orchomenus, who was named Erginus, to be dispersed over the course of 20 years. This matter made Hercules furious. He carried his club and went to beat the messenger of Orchomenus until he was half dead. He even cut off their ears and noses, then chased them back to their own country. Actually, I believe Hercules was somewhat in the wrong in this matter. Clearly, the city of Thebes had killed the king of another nation. When Orchomenus brought an army to attack in retaliation, Thebes admitted defeat and offered a deal to pay tribute with cattle. Both sides agreed to the terms, so the matter was settled. Then, somehow, Mr. Hercules came out of nowhere interfering. He has 50 wives, but does not stay home to take care of them. Instead, he goes around meddling in trivial political matters. King Erginus, upon hearing what Hercules had done, immediately brought his army to attack Thebes. Unfortunately for him, Justice lies in the hands of whoever is holding the club made from the largest olive tree in the region. Hercules led the army of the city of Thebes to a resounding victory, killing Erginus in battle. However, the stepfather of Hercules, who was Amphitryon, also died during the conflict. Although he lost his stepfather, Hercules helped the people of the city of Thebes turn the entire situation around, from debtor to creditor. Now, the land of Orchomenus had to pay double the original amount, 4,000 cows over 20 years, to the city of Thebes. With this tremendous feat, what was the reward for Hercules? Once again, it was a wife. Because he had secured 4,000 additional cows, King Creon of the city of Thebes immediately married his daughter, Megara, to Hercules. Megara was a gentle and beautiful princess. She gave Hercules 8 children, who were intelligent and lovely. What happiness indeed. 51 wives, several hundred children, and 1 olive wood staff. A Greek man could only hope for that much. But life does not give anyone everything. Who would have known? Hercules had a beautiful wife and lovely children. But on one seemingly perfect day, when everything was beautifully green, it suddenly turned blood red. And I am not talking about the stock market. Suddenly one day, Hercules went completely mad. He clutched his head and howled in agony. His eyes bulged from their sockets, foam frothed from his mouth, and he ran around like a wild, savage beast. In his frenzy, Hercules took a knife and brutally massacred both his wife and all of his children. Even the children who were the offspring of his younger sibling Iphicles were also murdered under the bloodthirsty blade of Hercules. When he finally awoke from the madness, Hercules found himself in a situation exactly like his stepfather had faced years before. He went from being a glorious hero to suddenly becoming a cursed sinner overnight. The reason for this terrible madness was that years ago, Zeus had promised Hera that when Hercules grew up, he would have to spend 12 years of his life being a slave to Eurystheus, the cousin of Hercules, and also a king. However, when the appointed time came, Hercules did not fulfill this sacred promise, so he was enchanted and driven mad as punishment. Or perhaps it could simply be because Hercules had 51 wives and hundreds of children, and so he went insane. Just imagine, having just one girlfriend is stressful enough, trying to balance between her and your career. Now, multiply that stress by 51 times, then add several hundred small, noisy children. Under those circumstances, going mad becomes completely understandable. With his hands stained with the blood of his entire family, Hercules painfully sought out the god Apollo, desperately asking for guidance on how to wash away his sinful crimes. The god of light with the silver bow told Hercules that he must return to the place where he was born and become a slave to Eurystheus for 12 years. During these 12 years, Hercules would undergo 12 great trials, accomplishing resounding feats so extraordinary that all worldly sins would be forgotten like the memory of a defeated soldier. Moreover, the name Hercules would not merely be the name of a mortal of short life, but would become the name of an immortal god, truly worthy of the glory befitting the son of the highest god, Zeus. If you do not yet understand, then let me clarify. In the next 12 years, Hercules will essentially be the servant of a king. If he performs well and completes all tasks successfully, he will have his sins completely washed away and will ascend to become an immortal god. And that epic journey will be the story told in the next video. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel so you do not miss any upcoming videos.